Hello and welcome to the Football Parliament podcast, your one stop destination for all your football debates, discussions, and opinions. Today, I am joined with Hakam Gill, a Manchester United fan, and this is his first appearance on the Football Parliament podcast. Hi, Hakam. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great. I'm glad to make my debut on the Football Parliament podcast, and I am honored to be here. And I look forward to making a lot of videos with the likes of Eldant Khandelwal and Manish Hatkar.
Some inspiring words there from Hakam. So, today we're going to be predicting the upcoming Premier League season 21-22. The next season proves to be the most exciting season in modern history or even Premier League history because we have an exciting title challenge with four teams involved in it potentially and a relegation dogfight which may see up to six teams involved in it. And the race for the European places, as always, in the Premier League is extremely thrilling. So let's dive straight into it. So we're going to begin with the top six from sixth to first. How come? Who do you think is going to finish in sixth place?
In my opinion, the team that's going to finish in the second Europa League spot will be Tottenham Hotspur.
Ooh, Tottenham
Uh, they,
Hotspurs.
they've they've got a they've had a decent transfer window, not too great. They've signed Christian Romero, and they have almost managed to keep Harry Kane. I'm not too sure what's going to happen. City is still interested, reports say, and I the reports also say they're gonna sign Lautaro Martinez from Inter for around 50 million. So and they have a new manager, Nuno Santo. So we'll see how that goes.
Okay, I'll agree with you on that one. Tottenham Hotspurs in sixth is not a very bad prediction because Tottenham do have the squad, to finish in that last Europa League place. And yeah, if they can keep Harry Kane, I think it's a guaranteed top six finish for them because of the addition of Christian Romero. Now moving on to fifth place. How come your thoughts on who's going to finish in fifth?
I think it is going to be Leicester City again.
Leicester City. I think this is a pretty universal prediction among all football fans. I think they're by far, I think, the best of the rest when it comes to the Premier League. With the squad they have, I think anything other than Europa League, I think will be a disappointing season for Brendan Rodgers' men. Now, moving on to the top four, the four which I think everyone expects to challenge or give a title challenge during the initial parts of the season. Uh, Fourth place, I think, in my opinion, I think Liverpool will finish in fourth, considering
I'm
that
going to
that
have
they've
to
not
agree
really
with you
made
on
any
that one.
signings.
Yeah, Liverpool. They've had a very quiet transfer window after signing Ibrahim Konate from RB Leipzig. They have made no signings. Um, there have been reports that there's something big coming for Liverpool at the end of the transfer window, but I highly doubt they're going to sign anyone that great. They need a proper number nine. People might say, oh, they have Diogo Jota, but he's a bench player and he's a winger. So, as we all know, Roberto Firmino is past his good days.
Very fair points made by Huck there. Uh, and coming on to another point about Liverpool is that I think that squad depth is very. I think it lacks in a lot of areas. Like the starting 11, I think, is capable of beating any side in the world on their day. But I think the squad depth, especially for the Premier League, which has a lot of fixture congestion, especially during the winter period, I think Liverpool will struggle with that. And we saw that last season where one or two injuries to the spine of that team really crippled them, and they ultimately had to
Uh, to be
fight
fair, they
back.
had way more
Yeah,
injuries than one or two, but yeah,
yeah, but mostly to the spine. I think the injuries of Van Dijk,
yeah.
Henderson really crippled the team. So yeah, their squad depth is concerning. So I think fourth is what they should be expecting.
But they're still a world class side, so they
Yeah,
can
they're still a
easily make
world
top
class
four.
side. but the squad depth is required to win a league title. It is
Yes, yes.
something which Liverpool lacks. Now coming on to third place, uh, how come? What do you think is going to finish third?
Um, I think these are joint predictions, so I'm going to have to say Manchester United. Being completely unbiased, I'm going to have to say Manchester United because we have a great squad. We have decent squad depth, I'd say. But we lack a CDM. And even though we made the signing of Rafael Varane, who, by the way, has still not been announced, um, and Jadon Sancho, of course, uh, we're a great side. Our starting 11 is fantastic, but I don't think we're gonna win the title or even come second this year,
I think that
in
one
my
weak
unbiased
link
opinion.
in midfield, I think, is really the deciding factor here. A lack of a good defensive midfielder will hurt United's chances this season, according to us. So now moving on to second place, uh, I think that Chelsea's recent acquisition of Romelu Lukaku really does it here. So I'm gonna put Manchester City in second place because I think the one place where Manchester City really lacked last season was the absence of a proper number nine, a gap which they've not been able to fill this season. There were like numerous reports of Harry Kane moving to City during the initial period and even recently, in fact, but that move has not really materialized. In fact, Man City spent most of their transfer budget on Jack Grealish, which I think was a pretty unnecessary signing, considering that they've got enough creative depth in that squad. So, Hakam, what do you think? Will City be able to give
Uh,
a proper
yeah,
challenge this season?
this is going to be a tricky one because both the Chelsea and City sides are very strong. They have like two or three squads ready to play, and their first team is absolutely phenomenal. Uh, but I think Chelsea. I agree with you on this one. I think Chelsea gets the edge because of their new signing Romelu Lukaku.
Now, coming on to the champions of the Premier League, in our opinion, Chelsea. Chelsea are coming off of an incredible last couple of months under Thomas Tuchel's management. If Thomas Tuchel has really transformed the team after shifting to that back three, where like as Pep Guardiola said, they have men everywhere across the pitch. Even if they are out of possession, in possession, they always seem to have that extra man everywhere. And Thomas Tuchel has really done an incredible job with this team, which resulted in the Champions League victory over Manchester City, in fact. So again, Chelsea's acquisition of Lukaku really pushes us over the line here on this one. So yeah, moving on to the relegation battle. Uh, the relegated teams from 20th to 18th. How come? Who do you think is going to finish last? The outright
Um,
worst
I
team in
th-
the league.
I think the outright worst team in the league is Arsenal, but we can't. I mean, we can't say that. We can't say they'll finish 30th. So I'm going to have to say Norwich City. I think we all know this one. They're a yo-yo club. They just bounce around from the EFL to the EPL and back down there again. So I think that's what's going to happen this season too. And then we go on to 19th place. Anshuraj, what's your pick?
I think I'm going to go for another yo-yo club in Watford. I think both of these clubs have those kind of like similar kind of quality of squads and even boards. In fact, both of their boards lack this ambition to remain in the Premier League. Even though Norwich have sort of invested quite significantly this year, I don't think those signings are going to help them stay in the Premier League. I still they think they're going to finish in last place. But I think if these clubs really want to stay in the Premier League, I think a change of board is required because they've constantly been yo-yoing up the divisions for I think almost a decade now. 18th place. How come? Your thoughts?
18th place, I'm going to have to go with Southampton. I think they have a great side. I mean, they have a decent side, but now that Danny Ings has moved to Aston Villa, I think they have no chance in the Premier League. After that, uh, the 8-1,
N-
8-2
9-1,
obliteration. Oh yeah, my bad, my bad.
9-1.
Oh yeah, 8-2. Sorry, that was Barcelona.
Oh,
9-1 against Manchester United. After that obliteration, they've never been the same, and I think this year is the year they finally get relegated.
I'll have to agree on that. Losing your talisman, especially for a, a small club like Southampton, could be damaging to their ambitions of remaining in the Premier League. Now, moving on to the teams which will be fighting against relegation, the teams who will finish in the 15th to 17th bracket. In 17th place, Hakam, what do you think? Who's going to finish in 17th?
17th place, I think it's gonna be Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace, they've got an average side. Let's be honest. They're the definition of a mid-table club. They've got a good player in Wilfred Zaha, who, like we all know, every single summer he wants to leave the club and it never happens, and he's stuck there again, um, and he makes Crystal Palace survive relegation. So I think yeah, they'll survive another year, and it's a very boring club in my opinion. And
Crystal
yeah,
Palace,
mid-table.
I think, were in sort of crisis during the initial part of the transfer window. Like there were some reports that they were lacking players or something, but like this, some of their players were their contracts were expiring. But I think Patrick Vieira's appointment, who is a pretty pragmatic coach, I think just might seal a trick for them in this relegation fight. In
Yes.
16th place, I think I'll have to put Newcastle United. Again, another average squad which has been tested through the waves of relegation fights year after year. I think they're a squad which has really been motivated by that factor of not being relegated, and I think they'll just about do enough to stay in the Premier League next season as well. Moving on to 15th place, I think. Hakam, what do you think? 15th place.
I think 15th place will go to Burnley. Burnley is I
I
think
think
the most boring side in Premier League football. They play Brexit ball, and because of their manager Sean Dyche,
RIP Sam
and
Allardyce.
RIP Sam Allardyce. Uh, and yeah, the and the most boring fixture in the Premier League is always Burnley versus some team. This season, it's probably going to be Burnley versus Watford or Burnley versus Newcastle. Who knows? But yeah, Burnley is the most boring club in the Premier League. But they're a decent side, and they can easily survive relegation.
Which they have done ever since their promotion to the Premier League. Burnley have
Yes.
always been known, for their grit and determination and intensity on the pitch. True Brexit values, which sort of have really carried them over the years into Premier League safety each and every season. Now, moving on to 14th place, I think Brentford are going to finish 14th. They're like this everyone's second favorite club, in my opinion. Brentford, everyone likes them. I have not met a single
Yes,
fan
mine too.
yet.
Mine too.
I've not met a single fan who doesn't like Brentford. I think Ivan Toney is going to have a good season. I think he's going to bang in the goals for Brentford, and yeah, I think they're going to have a pretty decent season. On, in fact, in their on their first promotion to the Premier League, I think they're going to have a very good season. Moving on to 13th place, how come? What do you think? Who's going to finish 13th?
Uh, 13th place, I think it's gonna be uh, Brighton. Uh, they're a very good side. All they lack is a striker. They're the best XG team, which is expected goals team in the Premier League. You know, it's Brighton. We can't mention
Yeah,
Brighton without
without
mentioning
XG.
expected goals. Yes, the XG merchants, as everyone calls them. And yeah, they'll win the league they'll win the XG league, but I think yes, they're gonna finish 13th in the Premier League.
I'll have to agree with that. If Brighton can somehow convince Robert Lewandowski to join them, I think they're going to be the best team on the planet. But as unlikely as it seems, it's not going to happen. Now moving on to 12th place, I think Wolves, another squad which has relatively good players, but I think with with the the rather the removal of Espirito Santo, I think the squad has sort of regressed in some way. I don't think they've really made any uh, like eye-catching signings as well either through the window. So I think it's going to be a mid-table finish for Wolves.
Um,
Now,
I'm going to have to disagree on you with this one, with you on this one. I think it will be uh, Everton who finish 12th, because Everton have just lost their world class manager in um, Carlo Ancelotti, who's just returned to his old club Real Madrid, and I think they're gonna and the loss of their uh, number 10 for reasons unknown, uh, touching kids, and so yeah, I think it's gonna be Everton in place of Wolves, because I think with the return of Raul Jimenez, I think he of course he won't be on his pre-injury form, but I think he's a great player, and I think he can help Wolves get back on track.
okay, so I think there's a split here. So to the FPP family, if you think that Wolves or Everton are going to finish in 12th, then comment your
They're
opinions
called the
down below
FP crew.
in the FPP crew.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
please comment your suggestions or your
I'm
predictions
a
rather
fanboy
in
too.
the in the comment section of who's going to finish 12th, or in fact comment the entire table below. Now moving on to 10th place. I think Leeds United 10th place finish. I think they're going to repeat basically what they did last year with a coach like Marcelo Bielsa. I don't think they're going to be involved in the relegation fight, nor are they going to sort of challenge for European football because their squad is pretty championship standard in that sort of sense. So a 10th place finish for Leeds. Then moving on to ninth place. How come ninth place?
Ninth place, for me, it's gonna be Arsenal. Um, if I really wanted to, I would have put them in 20th, but we can't do that because let's be real, that's not gonna happen. But you never know with Arteta. He could get them relegated, but in our opinion, we think Arsenal will finish ninth, because they've they've made let's be honest, their transfer window hasn't been that great, apart from the Ben White signing. They still need a right back.
I think they
They
still
need
need a
a
whole new
goalkeeper.
team, but
Yeah, a whole
that's
new
a
team,
different
and a
conversation.
manager, and a
And the
board, and
manager.
an owner. But
I think Arsenal
yeah,
should just
basic.
delete themselves and
Yeah, they
start a
should
new
delete
club.
themselves, and they should rebrand themselves to a what's it called, a fashion brand,
Yeah,
and not a football club,
they've got some
because
fire
the
kits.
jerseys, yeah, the jerseys and their apparel is pretty good.
Moving on to eighth place. Uh, I think this is a spot for West Ham. You know, I think they're not gonna repeat last season's exploits and finish in a European spot because I think teams like Spurs will bounce back, and the last remaining team, I think with their signings, I think West Ham will get displaced from those spots. So yeah, I think West Ham gonna have uh,
West Ham have a great side. The standout player for me has to be um, uh, what's his name, Thomas Suchek, and of course Declan Rice. But I think Thomas Suchek had a great season, great last season, and he is basically the top five defensive midfielders in the Premier League, in my opinion. And he's everywhere, just like Kante. He's everywhere. He's popping in the box with his headers, and yeah, he's the star player in my opinion. And they even have a player like Declan Rice, who I hope signs for Manchester United, but that's not going to happen, unfortunately. And yeah, they're bang on the eighth spot.
And moving on to
And
the
the
last and
last club
remaining
left.
club, Aston Villa, who we think are going to finish in seventh place because of the signings they've made. And, I think the overall signings are pretty good. Like players like Bailey, Buendia, and, uh, you know, these kind of players. I think they'll elevate them from their mid-table finish last season into a UEFA Conference League spot. So European football is back
Um,
fast. Villa fans in the
yeah,
next to next season, we believe,
glory
and
days are soon coming back.
glory days are back.
Uh, and let me tell you, they have more Champions League trophies than Manchester City. Just wanted to point that out. And yeah, Aston Villa have had a phenomenal transfer window. They lost their captain in Jack Grealish, but the it was the record British transfer,
Signing, yeah,
the most expensive British transfer for £100 million, and I think they've put that transfer fee to good use. They've signed Leon Bailey, as you said, um, uh, Buendia, as you said, and they've got Axel Tuanzebe on loan, who I hope will shine for them. Um, Coming from a Manchester United fan, of course, and yeah, Aston Villa are a great side.
so those are our Premier League predictions for the upcoming 21-22 season. I'll request all of you to leave a like and subscribe to the Football Parliament podcast, and please also do leave your predictions in the comment section below. On that
And
note, how
we
come any
can
last words?
put our we can put our FPL fantasy Premier League uh,
Link.
link in the description if you would like to join. And yeah, that's it for this video, I guess.
Yeah, that's it
Signing
for
off.
this video, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.
Hmm.